Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a 5-star review. I'm Chierstin here with Frank Sanders, Johnny Venerable. Johnny's kids are in the other room because his wife is out of town, so we're hoping, but just warning you that they might come in and crash the pod.
They might peruse around the studio. They're in the front room. I've loaded them up with a lot of the snacks, the complimentary snacks that we have here at our PHNX studios. So my 6-year-old son in particular is loving that. So our producer Shane is going to check on them periodically throughout the show. So for once, I'm very appreciative of Shane's presence. But
for once.
in all seriousness, my kids are here. I apologize. We'll see what happens.
Nothing to apologize for, bro. They're amazing. They're beautiful. They're healthy.
One's got a fantastic name.
I mean, yeah, Frankie is the daughter's name, and he calls her Frank. Like, this is like the bomb.
I got a couple Franks here that I care a lot
about. She's bomb, man. Like, this is like, I'm excited.
Guys
I hope they walk in here just in a minute and like just start playing with toys, bobbleheads, throwing footballs, and having a great time, because this is what the show is really about. We give facts, but we do have fun.
We do have fun.
And the Cardinals are going to have a ton of fun this weekend, getting to ride in their brand new plane that they have purchased.
Woo, woo.
They are now, and we've got some B-roll to show you of this new shiny toy of theirs. They are now the second NFL franchise to purchase an aircraft for team travel, joining the New England Patriots, which I did not realize that more. We were talking about. We thought more teams had their own plane for team travel.
Yeah, I just assumed, like, in today's day and age where every NFL team is worth like multiple billions of dollars, that you have a private team plane that you just have on deck when you need it, if you need it. And I was shocked to hear from you, Chierstin, via the team's press release that nope, they're only joining New England as the only team that has their own designated plane. That doesn't mean maybe they don't lease a plane, maybe an off-brand plane during the year, but I mean, like,
an off-brand.
Yeah,
plane?
well, when you think about
what is that?
It's like it's the great value of private jets, but in all seriousness, we think about like the Buda Baker situation just a couple weeks ago, him trying to keep tabs on his then pregnant girlfriend, and he flew with Michael Bidwell in his private jet because their prior plane that they had didn't have Wi-Fi on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that spurred Michael Bidwell. He's like, well, damn, I gotta get some Wi-Fi for my guys here, but I'm sure that it has more than just Wi-Fi on this plane.
Very, very classy. That plane is sleek. It's gorgeous. It looks amazing, and I'm pretty sure once you get a private jet or plane for your players, you understand the necessities that these are 6'5" to 6'7", 300-something pound offensive linemen, defensive linemen. The term of the contracts are very long, so these guys honestly wouldn't need that particular type of a setting for them. And then at the same time, I mean, when you get tenure and you get to sit in first class and you get on a plane and you know you're traveling back east, and you like this here tucked away, and you wake up, you got all this beautiful stuff.
Well, speaking of that, Frank,
it's pretty amazing. Like, but when I got look, let me tell you something. 1998, they unveiled another one, and it wasn't this one. I know that for a fact.
Well, let me tell you this because I know it didn't have this. You're talking about laying down first class. So their seating includes 166 out of their 288, which are oversized for extra comfort. But then that includes 28 first-class pods with lie-down seats and 48 business class.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: who gets the like first dibs on the 28 pods?
Anybody who makes $10 million or more.
Right. The guy you pull up the salary cap, and what's that website? Overthecap.com. We'll pull up overthecap.com. We'll take the 28 individuals that make the most money on the roster, and those will they'll get the beds.
I would be ticked if I was like making like $8 million and like I was just
till
outside
No, you'll
that.
get taken care of
Wait
if you
till
make
turn.
$8 million.
No, it's typically it's veteran leadership.
Captains.
It's captains and veteran leaderships, guys who have tenure in time. And if you have a rookie quarterback like Kyler, I'm pretty sure if they felt like that was something that they were okay with establishing that certain players in certain positions needed to have that spot, that'd be fine. When I was at Baltimore, it didn't matter. You had to have tenure. Your tenure determined where you were sitting at. If you were at 17 years, you sat in the very first 1, 2, and it just went on down by your age of your years. And once those years ran out of seats, you sat in the back. And look, Mike is changing the narrative. It's very first class.
Yep.
There are so many things that he does that I'm proud of him and watching his growth. It's hot. Okay, but I like the fact that what the players have, what the team has, is pretty brand new. And I always like to have these type of unveilings. Sometimes you have to unveil certain things at the right moment, and then when you do that, it's pretty special. And I think this is a good time for the Cardinals to have that. Got him. Got him. If you're missing this moment, Chierstin just popped out a brand new shirt unveiled with JV's picture, and he is smashing a Coors Light right there.
I was waiting for this to come in the mail for weeks. It finally came in this morning. I said, this is the time that I'm going to wear it on the show.
Don't cry.
On the day that my children are here, you would pull this shit on me.
Frank with a perfect setup for it too. Unveiling something at the right time.
First of all, Chierstin's very put together. She's taking off her coat during the first segment. I'm like, what the hell is happening here?
It's hot in here. These lights are getting you. These lights getting you.
She's usually ready for camera ready, and I'm schlubbing it over here, and this is what. Oh my God,
that's beautiful. It looks great. It's a great photo. Great shirt. Of Johnny smashing a nice little Coors Light.
It's not a great.
We should have put the photos so we could do it full screen if anybody hadn't seen it. Maybe Shane can find it real quick.
All those have been burned. All those photos.
One of my favorite moments of my entire career was chugging a beer with Johnny on the show and having this photo taken of him.
Can I just say, first of all, we'll dissect the photo here in a second because this jackass found it. But so
that is what's on my shirt.
He's holding it like a bib.
Here's what's happening.
What's up with the hand though? What's the underhand? Like, what the hell? This is your first beer you've ever smashed?
Can I explain what happened? I thought we were going to do a fun preview show tonight.
This is fun.
What is happening?
We're making fun.
Yeah, we are. We sure are. This is not in the spirit of Christmas. I am not feeling this at all. I think it's bad juju and karma for the Lions game this weekend. The hand was 100%. I walked into the studio that night.
My new DraftKings shirt.
We got new DraftKings gear. I wanted to be a company man. I put my DraftKings shirt on. And I didn't want to get Coors Light on. First of all,
you act like it's this material, this hoodie material that is.
I didn't want to get it on my new shirt.
Imported from Italy. Yeah, fine leather. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Italian.
What did I walk
here.
into tonight? This is not at all what I signed up for. I'm
under
enough stress already. In all seriousness, that's fantastic. I will get you back.
JV got the
Rest
kids,
assured.
So he got the kids. Get at the
JV. I'm
JV.
transporting my children, but otherwise, just wait till Sunday, the Lions game.
Where did you just pull that from?
I don't know, but it should be back over here. Let me hold it.
It's part of our show. It's an unofficial sponsor.
Anyway, if you are listening to the podcast, basically what I did while Frank was talking is I had a shirt with a photo of Johnny attempting to chug a beer and failing miserably from a show basically within the first week or two.
I feel like we just started, and that's haunting you didn't say.
So
you get a mulligan in your first month of doing anything, and I feel like that is not fair game at all. What were you saying, Shane?
Well, I was looking for the picture. I couldn't find the file name, and the file name was Johnny Chug with quotation marks around it.
If that was you, Leah, you rat bastard. Because Shane, did you label it like that?
Yeah, that was
me. A massacre. Okay. It's amazing, brother. You look.
No, I don't need to put. No. I don't need. I don't need a Frank TED talk after this. No, I don't. I'm good. Let's just continue with the show. I just need.
Let's go back real quick, just because the plane situation is absolute. We talked about Mike being first class.
Yeah.
He's giving his guys he's putting them in the best opportunity to be successful. Of course, the organization is winning because not just on the field but off the field. It's a better brand than it was. He's made it a better brand in regards to having the stadium, getting the name, getting multiple viable companies to come in and join in and become sponsors to the stadium and buying naming rights and stuff like that. He's winning off the field financially with the team. That's very good. But he's not just keeping it and hoarding it. He's putting it out back again in the product to better suit his players, his staff. Not just the players get the benefit of that. The staff get the benefit of that playing too, because the seats are they're bigger, they're wider, they have a little more comfort. So that in itself is going to be good. Because I remember when I first got here in 1990, I got here in 95, but there was another plane that was here back in the days, and it was American West. And it was basically what the Valley was doing at that time to kind of attribute their teams to, just a little tribute to the teams that was here. The Cardinals had one, the players had one. Oh, I'm sorry. The players had one.
Get that out
from the Diamondbacks, and then the Suns had one from American West. But look, for a team to have its own plane and to have it suitable toward the players and to fit their accommodation, that's pretty special.
So here's what we're going to do. As my children knock from down the hall, Shane's going to go check on them. Babysitter Shane. So I'm going to redeem myself because I do need to redeem myself from that photo. When we're in Dallas, I'm going to chug a beer live either after or before a broadcast that we do. And I will make good on that, and I will be ready to go.
I feel like we need to get like a beer bong.
That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. That's totally fine.
All right.
Yeah, long as you just don't put that little bib of a hand up. Don't put the bib of a hand up to try to save it from wetting up your shirt. You're supposed to get dirty.
What are they doing? It wasn't my kids. Oh, it was. Okay,
That's
thank you.
Great.
I feel like the jet aspect, and then we can move on to this actual game, though. I mean, I feel like we've talked so much about Michael Bidwell and the things that he has done, and what we consider his legacy as an owner. And the first thing was the new stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it showed fans and players that he was invested and that he was willing to invest money into. Whether it's the success or just, being a legitimate franchise, and to now do something like this where you're one of only two teams along with one of the most successful franchises in NFL history, to have their own plane. I mean, it speaks volumes to the fans as well as the players.
I agree with you. It's a recruiting tool as well.
That's right. For
that
free agents.
has just won more free agents here that want to go to a team that's up and coming with the young talent that we have. That's very good. Johnny always says this here. When you look at our roster, it's young, but it also has longevity. But it's longevity with talent, not longevity with guessing on what kind of talent you have. Because the talent we've already put on the field is producing at a high level. And so this is why we are where we are right now, because of the young talent and over the last couple of years of the drafts. And then at the end of the day, it's getting lucky in a lot of ways, Steve Kimes, just finding the right moment to bring free agents in. And now I've always said that the Valley is a perfect place to play because we talk about the weather in different places and the living conditions in some areas right now. If you're a back east guy and you want 4 seasons, that's great. But if you're a guy that really wants to come away and your body starts having these little aches, you come out to the desert, you realize it doesn't take as long to get warm. You can come out here. You can easily come out and play. The practice schedules are really conducive to you. The field of play is excellent. The turf is amazing out here because the weather is always great. So yes, it's not California without a beach, but it's not Earthquake City, and it's just that much better because you have.
And the cost of living is cheaper in California.
Yeah.
And your hashtag winning just on the money side of it anyway. So. But having that plane and continually showing that the Cardinals want to have its footprint on the stage when it comes to looking at a Lombardi Trophy or George Halas, and this is a position right now Mike is constantly showing, and I think it's just another good stepping tool to moving in the right direction of becoming a major franchise.
They've got everything but the Lombardi. They've got the hotshot young coach. They've got presumably the young franchise quarterback, state-of-the-art facilities now. Their own private jet, a desirable place to live, a division now that looks like it could be softening up just a bit. So, I mean, they have another step to take, and we hope they can get that accomplished this year.
All right, well, they've got another step to take to get back on the right track in Detroit, hoping to put that Rams loss behind them and get back to their winning ways and keep their road record intact, because right now they are undefeated on the road, which brings us to our Friday's 4 downs. Number 1, again, Cardinals looking to improve their undefeated road record to 8-0. And we've got some fun facts surrounding that, so we'll get back to that. But the second is the Cardinals will clinch a playoff spot with a win. They were hoping to do that on Monday Night Football, but could not get it done. And the Lions have a depleted secondary that's been hit hard by positive COVID tests. I was kind of waiting to see if this game was going to be postponed, because 3 other games were postponed due to positive COVID tests, but right now we are still playing on Sunday. Cardinals should take advantage of that for sure. They have some injury and COVID absences of their own that we'll get into. And then the fourth is the Cardinals are heavy favorites against this 1-win team. I believe they are 12.5-point favorites on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. But let's get back to improving their road record. I did a little bit of digging, and first off, the Patriots, they have had 4 losses this year, and all of their losses have also come at home, which is interesting. I didn't realize that. But I did some more digging into the history. Thank you. Into the history. The no team has ever had has gone undefeated with 9 road wins, and I'm assuming that has to do with adding the 17th game, so it would not have been possible previously, but they have the chance to be the first to do it. 12 teams have had undefeated / untied, so didn't tie either on the road, road records in the regular season. So there's 12 teams. 9 of those 12 teams with undefeated road records have made it to the Super Bowl. 9 of 12. So almost every single team that's gone undefeated on the road has gone on to play in the Super Bowl.
We need to clip that, put that on video, and make sure that is constantly on the retweet and the post part, because I know our fans are going crazy about losing at home. But when you really look at it, the idea is that if you can pull that off and still get to the Super Bowl, that's freaking amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know what the secret sauce is for this team on the road this year. You think about, like, their schedule now is difficult to end the year, but their schedule's been difficult, throughout the duration of the season.
It has been.
Starting the year at a playoff contender in Tennessee, blowing them out, right? Going on the road against Cleveland, against San Francisco, against LA, winning handily in all of those games, at Seattle with Colt McCoy. I mean, the adversity this team has faced is considerable on the road as compared to at home. At home, it's almost like things have been laid out for them, right? The Packers game, the Rams game this past Monday night, they got the Texans at home. The Vikings kicker missed a field goal. I just feel it's just strange with this team's mindset. I don't know if they play off the disrespect. They must. That must be a thing in the Cardinals locker room, playing off the fact that nobody thinks they can win. And then, man, when they go into games like Monday Night Football against the LA Rams, where everybody's telling them you're huge favorites, they're missing players, win the division, they just can't seem to get over the hump. So, of course, we want them to win the division, and we want them to have a first round, home matchup in the postseason. But it would not give me any hesitation to think they could go and win on the road against any of the opponents in the first round.
Do they feel, is this a thing? Would they feel any more pressure at home, especially when they began to rack up poor performances at home, rather than be on the road and sort of be considered the underdog, at least by the people who are in that stadium and everyone's rooting against you kind of idea? Is there more pressure at some point when you're losing games or not playing up to your standards or playing as well as you are on the road, to where all of a sudden it's like, especially Monday, I don't think that they counted out the Rams by any stretch of the imagination. I think a whole lot of pressure was on them.
Yeah,
I would definitely say that. But the home losses are to really good teams. I mean, like, outside of the field goal kick between the Minnesota Vikings, that still was a good team.
Well, the Panthers wasn't.
I mean, the Panthers was not, but we didn't. We didn't have Kyler. We didn't have, but the energy in that moment and the crescendo moment for the Panthers was Cam Newton coming back. But if you look at Green Bay came here without a lot because they had the COVID situation. But if we still tie in, that's still Aaron Rodgers. So and also your great reporting and just diving into the research department still stated that Aaron Rodgers was better without Devontae Adams in regards to just as an offensive scheme. And they came and they played we gave ourselves a chance. We played against another good team, and we fought to the end, came up short. Same thing with the Rams, another good team, but it's the second time we face a division opponent that's supposed to be the NFC, standing for the Super Bowl. They came here ready to play, and they played and had a great game plan. But I mean, playing home is not always easy. But in regards to this team, I don't think they showed up. I don't think they came up short. They just didn't start fast like we normally see them start on the road. And that's the only disappointing part, is that we just don't start good at home, which is, that don't make sense. But
no.
at the same time, it's still one of those things where we still got questions to what's taking place with these losses at home.
Cardinals update saying you think the team reads all the headlines. I think that there are certain players who refuse to read headlines, go on social media, and they legitimately do not want to know, and they legitimately do not care. I think there are maybe more players that do read the headlines and make their, decisions on whether they're good storylines or not from there. But I would think, and obviously I'm not in the locker room, I would think that the majority of them can't really escape it, and yes, are very well aware of what's being said about them.
Yeah, especially as it relates to the home situation. I mean, Kingsbury said it leading up to last week's game about, hey, we have to play better. We know we have to play better. He downplayed the victory to the Chicago Bears, and he said 2 or 3 times to the media locally that guys know they have to put on a better performance. We have to make our home fans proud. And then they came out and they played poorly again. So I think they're very aware of what's being said, and I know that they harness that underdog mentality on the road, because how could you not at this point? They're a completely different team on the road. That can't be disputed. They have wins at home, but they haven't played a complete game at home outside of maybe the Houston game.
But if we really put it on a table, like our away games, I mean,
they're dominant.
But just who we're playing on the road, like that outside of Cleveland Browns. I mean, we thought Tennessee was going to be a really tough opponent in the first game of the season, but outside of the Cleveland Browns, everybody else has not have been amazing. When you do it, just
all right, let's count them.
Go ahead, do it for me.
So Tennessee's going to the playoffs. The Niners are going to the playoffs. The LA Rams are going to the playoffs, right? And they're 7-0 right now on the road. So there's at least 3 playoff teams.
Yeah, but I mean, that's now their playoff teams. When we met them, they were outside of the Rams, the 49ers were still struggling. And the Tennessee Titans, we just came out and just Chandler Jones them, like without a conference. That was an amazing game.
Right. They've got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Bears in there.
Yeah.
And Seahawks are kind of middle of the pack.
Whack, whack, whack. You know what I mean?
But it's just hard to win on the road. You know that.
But the teams we played on the road were not the teams we had to play at the house. I mean, between Minnesota, Green Bay, the Rams, the second time Rams.
Yeah. And Minnesota was the healthiest they had been all year when they played the Cardinals, and now they're kind of a shell of what they were.
And so, boom, there you go. So I think those are things that's on the table when we look at our schedule and what's come out of it. I think right now the guys really they know they're in the playoffs. They want to finish strong and feel what it's like to finish strong in the fourth half. Everyone needs that mentality. Everyone needs to have that feeling, because we still I go back to what Christian Kirk said. The standard is a standard, and they have not met that standard. But yet they've been able to find keys and formulas and some kind of formula to work for them when they've been at their worst. And right now we're at our worst. We lost our number 1 receiver. We still got some situations. We lost some of our guys because of the COVID protocol. And I think right now they should be better. And this is another moment where Kyler has to become the leader, and that he's supposed to be coming into the Detroit Lions. He needs to be the leader this week, and I think we'll probably see that.
Elon, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Saying media says Cards doomed with no D-Hop. If they are saying that, and I, to be honest with you, have not listened to national media since it happened, I would say that's just an easy narrative to say, like, oh, a team loses one of their best players and one of the best players at his position in the entire league. It's very easy to just say, oh, they're doomed without him. But we were talking about it earlier in the week. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't been targeted that many times. He hasn't even had a 100-yard game. His all of his stats are like low, like the lowest that they've ever been in his career.
It's going to translate to a lost season for DeAndre, the first of his career, and the Cardinals have 10 wins. It's a super lazy take. Frank just hit the nail on the head. We're going to find out everything we need to know about, number 1, Kyler Murray? Are you a big-time player? Not are you a Pro Bowl player that can accumulate stats? Are you a franchise quarterback in the sense that you can go on a deep playoff run with a receiving core that's still plenty good enough, right? We just considered them a top 1 to 2 unit. Now maybe they're top 10, 12 in the NFL, still with plenty of weapons. It's disappointing. And who knows if they were able to make a run to the NFC title game, maybe he's able to come back. There is not an excuse for this team not to score points in bunches as long as Kyler Murray is healthy.
So the national media, let me do this here, because I remember me when I played. The only news I ever got was when the reporters came and told us about the news. The only news I ever knew about another team.
Yeah, but you were pre-social media.
I mean, wouldn't even, I'm not on my phone enough to, like, even if I still would, I would protect myself.
These are
Players protect themselves from the foolishness of the continual conversation. Now, some hop immediately on there because they got, they can monetize this moment by liking and pushing and posting and stuff like that. But I would probably say most of the guys that already know what their jobs are, they're not listening to that. They're not paying attention enough to what everyone else is saying, unless you told me, Chierstin, unless you came in the locker room and said, hey, Frank, I just want to let you know right now, Stephen A. Smith says, you're just not the dude anymore. They probably need to cut you, probably need to send you over to Miami, and you can be with Tunga Baka Lakalua, and then y'all will figure it out. I messed his name up intentionally, but I'm just saying, like, that would be something where I would hear that from you. I wouldn't be paying attention, because at the end of the day, my job is to be dealing with the DBs that I got to deal with and the person I got to play against. I can't necessarily, when we watch film, there's no sound. You know why there's no sound? Because I don't need to hear an announcer telling you how great this guy is. I don't need to hear, oh my God, his kids are great, his little baby and his ball sacks. Before he even come out, that kid's gonna be great. His wife was an Olympian.
What did you just say?
I'm just like, sometimes they just tell you stuff that you don't need to hear about a guy. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I know I went there, but I'm just telling you, like, there's sometimes you don't need to hear about your opponent. And when you hear about your opponent, sometimes it could bring fear. Saul,
Shane, can you check on my kids for me, man?
Saul and Espo, look, I'm sorry. Don't take it. Don't.
Make sure there were earmuffs on Johnny's kids.
Yeah, Shane.
I'm sorry.
Gotta get them out of here. No.
But look, we don't have any sound. We never.
He had a really great point.
My point is
before
still
that
great.
point about the no sound.
No, what happens is, because when you're listening to the announcers, if you watch a football game and listen to the announcers, they tell you stuff that's just, it almost makes this guy look like he's unstoppable. He's invincible. And that's the same thing they can tell me. Oh, Aaron Donald was so great. He was amazing. You couldn't stop Aaron Donald kind of way. This guy's a 5-time defensive player. Joe Buck will do that. Your boy, thank you, Elon. Like, these are things that sometimes they say about guys. It's just,
Can I just say something real quick? I think Kyler Murray's going to have more clarity now offensively, because I do think that there are times where he feels like he has to force the ball to DeAndre, because there are lapses where DeAndre isn't targeted, Chierstin, as you mentioned, and every press conference where it happens, Cliff, Kyler, we got to do a better job getting him the football. Now it's just like, can we go back to just distribution, right?
Yes.
And they've got a bunch of 2 and 3 receivers, and I think a 1 tight end and a couple really good running backs. Like, they ought to be able to still, with Kyler's mobility, put up 30-plus points per game. I don't want built-in excuses, and I don't think there will be for this team. I was trying to go back today, and I'm putting together an article for PHNXSports.com that'll drop tomorrow about, the Cardinals are only going to go as far as Kyler Murray can take them. And you think about a lot of the teams that have made it to the NFC title game, the Super Bowl, have won the Super Bowl. Outside of really, let's just call it a robust group with Tampa last year with Brady, and that was Tom Brady. Most of the time, teams have just a pretty good skill set of receivers, and that's about it. I mean, think about the team that beat the Cardinals in 2015 with Cam Newton. Could you guys tell me his number 1 receiver that year? I feel like, again, I am in no way saying I am glad that DeAndre Hopkins is gone. I wish he was still around. The Cardinals are absolutely better with him. But I hope that there's not a built-in excuse now for this team to struggle offensively without number 10, especially as Chierstin mentioned. It was career lows off the board this year for DeAndre. I think 1 or 0 100-yard games, right? Essentially has been a non-factor for the last 8 weeks outside of the touchdown against Chicago early on. So it's going to be an unfortunate year where he's not going to give this team a ton, but they've got so many other players that they're high on. I still think they can make a deep playoff run without him.
Before we move on to our next topic, I want to go over the teams that have gone to the Super Bowl and also gone undefeated on the road, starting with their most recent one, the Kansas City Chiefs in 2020. They lost in the Super Bowl. They were 8-0. 2016 Patriots were 8-0. They won the Super Bowl that year. 2007 Patriots
Cowboys
lost in the Super Bowl.
2014. Damn.
Yeah.
That was a great team.
2001 Rams lost in the Super Bowl. 1989 Niners won the Super Bowl. 1984 Niners won the Super Bowl. And the list goes on. And this is all in the Super Bowl era.
Can I just say, you look at that list real quick. Leave that up, Shane. There's a common denominator. I'm looking at all of those games or all of those teams. Can you guys tell the common denominator? Everyone
undefeated on the road.
Yes.
Good job.
Every one of those teams, at minimum, went to the divisional round. Probably had a first round bye back when there were 2 byes. That should tell you if the Cardinals go undefeated on the road, especially if they win 9 games and they lose in the first round, that will be historically disappointing. Look at all of those teams. Most of them went to the Super Bowl, won it, lost it. The worst team on there, you could argue, was that Dallas team in 2004. That was the Dez caught it game against the Packers that they could have easily won in advance to the NFC title game.
Yeah.
And then you have to go all the way back to the Cowboys in 1968, the last divisional representative to lose. So there is a lot riding on the Cardinals if they were to falter in the wild card round, assuming they don't get the number 1 bye.
Also, shout out to Craig Morgan for originally sending me these stats. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Craig.
But why did he put the 1972 Dolphins? They didn't lose a game at home or away.
Well, yeah, I think it's just a given.
I got you. I'm like,
if the Cardinals go into, we fully expect them to beat Detroit this weekend. I think they're going to win by double digits. They're going to make history there. If they beat the Cowboys and knock them off in Week 17, Chierstin and I will be there. We can have this discussion leading into that game. Could you consider this the greatest regular season road team of all time? I think you'd have to.
Damn, you could.
You'd have to at least entertain that for a season until maybe somebody else did it. But I think they're going to beat Detroit by double digits Sunday, and I also think that they know about this record and they're going to go for it. And then that 9th road game, that may not make a damn bit of difference at the end of the year, but to be in the history books, I think it. Pretty cool thing for a Cardinal team that's not in the history books for a lot of good things.
That'd be great. We got an OB Skrilla 817. He asked, would this be a week we probably see Andy Isabella? As well as, do y'all think that the Texans thought that D-Hop as well as JJ, that he would eventually be, they'd eventually be hurt, basically?
JJ has been injury prone like his entire career, it seems like. So that for sure. But as far as DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think that you would have predicted the kind of season that he's had battling injuries. And then I don't think that we're going to see Andy Isabella like at any point this season.
No. J.J. Watt asked for his release. I mean, the Texans were fine just paying him. And then to your point, Chierstin, Hopkins had never been hurt. But players get older. You get on the wrong side of 30, especially with Watt. You miss more games. Antoine Wesley is the 4th receiver, not Andy Isabella. Antoine Wesley is going to play outside. He's
nice, though. I like him.
Yeah, he's a nice little player from Texas Tech that played for Cliff.
Yeah,
still young enough that he could develop into something. It's AJ Green.
He's the guy I believe that went undrafted and then signed. He was basically on a practice squad last year
with Baltimore.
Yep, and then, so to see him rise to the and he's got a great opportunity now for the rest of the season.
Well, I was kicking around the idea while Hopkins was out. I was thinking about what Christian Kirk's going to get paid this offseason and whether or not they're going to opt to bring back AJ Green. And I'm like, could Antoine Wesley be the 3rd receiver on this team next year behind Hopkins and Rondell Moore? He has an opportunity to establish himself because he does something. His skill set is immense because he can play outside, and Frank knows how valuable that is.
You need to have somebody outside.
You got to have size. You got to be physical. And as much as we love Rondell Moore and Christian Kirk, they're they're underneath guys,
Mm-hmm.
and you can find underneath guys more common in the draft in later rounds. The Cardinals have been searching for so long to find an outside receiver, and so that's why they went out, and a lot of people said they took a chance on AJ Green because he had size on the outside to go opposite Hopkins. So I'm anxious to see Antoine Wesley on Sunday.
I would like to see them re-sign AJ. I think he's kind of gotten to his flow. You can watch him the last couple of weeks. He seems like he runs great routes still. He has the ability to have a dominating presence on the outside versus the cornerbacks. He bodies up guys extremely well. I mean, outside of the one little mishap that we call a communication miscue in the Green Bay game, he's had pretty much a pretty solid season outside of the first couple of weeks. He seemed like he wasn't really involved in the offense, but I like what he brings to the table. Chierstin Kirk, if he can finish the next couple of games on a good note, and the offense finds a way to feature him, he looks like he has a lot left. He has a lot in the tank that we're just not using, and we're not able to put him in the right positions because, look, mind you, our offense has a lot of great weapons on it. So the quarterback has to make a decision, and there's one ball. So
I have a point to make about Chierstin Kirk, and then we're going to get to the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
Give it to me.
I've noticed that he is almost every single week made available to the media. He has become one of the faces of the franchises for that. We talked to Chierstin Kirk, I feel like, more than anybody else outside of Kyler Murray and obviously Cliff Kingsbury. But he is available every single week, made available every single week. And maybe you would know a little bit more about in terms of like who's chosen to speak with reporters and how often, et cetera. But it's consistently Chierstin Kirk.
It's typically the guy that has articulation and then rapport with the media. He doesn't have anything to hide. He doesn't have any questions to hide or hide behind. D-Hop's been hurt, little injury situation. So when you bring him in, sometimes you have to ask questions that really focuses on that particular injury and where he's at. You don't want to leak that kind of information to the media. Some guys come in, if they've had a bad game, it might seem like they don't want to talk about it. Chierstin really hasn't had a bad game. He hasn't had a really bad position. So if you have good rapport with the media, they keep asking Chierstin to come to the table. He can speak on behalf of the receiving corps more so than anybody else. I don't know why AJ Green was.
Maybe he just puts up the less fight.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I can tell you.
He's like, I'm not doing it. Ask somebody else. And Chierstin's like, okay, I'll do it.
I love AJ Green. I listened to him on the press conference. You can barely hear what he says. He's not a vocal
very
guy.
Quiet, yeah.
He was whispering into the microphone. I feel like he was ready to get in and get out. But I'm with you, Frank. I think they should bring him back. I think his game's going to age well with Green because it's not built off of speed. So Chierstin Kirk and AJ Green lead this team in receiving. Now Hopkins has missed time, but Kirk's got just over 700 yards. He leads the team in receptions with 53. He's got the most targets too, and then AJ Green second with 654 and 42 receptions. So I mean, for better or worse, you're rolling with your top two receivers this year down the stretch. They're available.
I would like to see both of these guys somewhere finish up between 80 and 95 catches. I think it's possible. I do think that if we want to push the numbers to argue that we can get Kyler Murray back into the MVP conversation, we said it after the last at the post game when it came to the Rams. Did Kyler Murray miss his MVP chance on a live stage? Well, not necessarily, because he has a couple more games that will probably put him on the front and center. But if you get the numbers of 300 to 400 yard passing, he get 3 and 4 touchdowns, whether it be running or passing, in the next 3 to 4 games left. He has a chance to put his name back in.
I just want to see this.
And that, I agree. He has to
into
progress.
The playoffs. Just be playing your best football.
He really does. He is the conduit to this team being great. Look, the only times that we really see him fail is the last couple of seconds of a football game. That's Green Bay and the Rams, and it looked horrible in the last couple of seconds. There need to be a coaching clinic on that with him, and I think the coaches will talk to him about that. That will show maturity, because the spiking the ball and with 15 seconds to go in the game, immediately gets it down. You have 2 opportunities there, not just one. And that in itself shows some sense of growth. That should have been a sense of maturity that would have happened. And then the conversation of what happened between you and AJ, did you communicate something? Was it why didn't look? That should have changed. I do like a more efficient offense, and I think they can find a way to make that happen. Guess what? When Kyler wasn't there and we had Colt McCoy, the offense was efficient. Let's run that same offense and find a way to create that balance where we can get guys the balls in their hands. And we didn't have D-Hops. We had the guy, I forgot his last name again, the young kid from Texas.
Wesley, yeah.
We had Wesley there, and he made catches, and he was efficient. So we can get back to that, and I think we can put ourselves in a good position.
All right, well, let's take a minute to talk about the DraftKings Sportsbook app. They've got a deal going on for new customers. If you download the app, use the code PHNX, bet $1 on any team to score in a football game, you can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. When they score, you score. You can also get skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. It is that simple. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want, which makes it a good thing for people like me who are still kind of getting my feet wet into the sports betting world. But as always with the app, it is 21 and over, Arizona only. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. All right, guys. That took a ton of time to get through one of our downs.
I thought we covered
but
about
here we
4 of them
are.
now.
We covered one down.
One down?
So we are off to...
We just keep getting first downs. There's no reason to just stop. We just keep driving.
Second down now. The Cardinals clinch a playoff spot with a win. Again, it was disappointing that they weren't able to get it done against the Rams. But, hey, at this point, you want to continue to win. And the sooner you can finally just clinch that spot, the better. I think some will say we're not too worried about that. Others will say, hey, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Like Jalen Thompson today, like he said, heck yeah, it's a huge deal for us. Like, especially for the guys that have been here for a couple of years, just being able to know that we're playing postseason football, and done deal. It means something to them, and I think it means something to fans, even though we all expect more than just clinching a spot in the playoffs.
I remember when we went to the playoffs for my first time in 1998 and what it took to get inside of that and to get in there. Once you get in the playoff, now you know you got a chance at the George Halas, and then you know you got a chance at the Vince Lombardi. You have no chance of any of that and that postseason cheddar. You get no chance of the postseason cheddar, which is that bread, that guacamole, that green. You get no chance of that broccoli if you're not in the postseason. And I think the guys are not really worried about the money, but the excitement of having the opportunity of knowing you're going to the next level.
Absolutely.
It means
you can take your new shiny jet there.
I mean, hello.
They're acting big time before they punch their ticket. I hope they don't
they're acting
sitting on their jet this weekend thinking they're in. They got to win this weekend. But I'm with you, Frank. I think about like the Buda Bakers of the world who have been on this team for upwards of 4 or 5 seasons, have never reached the postseason. So many key players. You know, Rodney Hudson's been with a bad Raider organization for a long time. He having a chance to go to the playoffs. Christian Kirk's never been to the playoffs. Chase Edmonds was on a lot of bad teams. So it's exciting for a lot of these guys to have that opportunity. But it's Chierstin, you hit the nail on the head. Like, our expectations have changed. I think we all felt like toward the end of the year we would be pushing for a playoff spot, and that's what the talk would be about. And they started 7-0, and they were the favorite for a while to theoretically to win the Super Bowl, to be the number 1 seed. I hope that the expectation is not, let's just get there and just see what happens. I mean, they've shown you with a lot of their victories this year, I know they're off a loss, that they can play with anybody. They haven't been blown out this year, theoretically. I'm not counting the Carolina game because Kyler didn't play. So this is, again, I don't keep harping back to last year, but it would have been so valuable for Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury to have postseason exposure and a lot of these younger guys to go to the playoffs, even if they were one and done last year. And they blew that last year. And so this year it's like ripping the Band-Aid off for the first time. I think back to that Seattle Seahawks team with Russell Wilson as a rookie in 2011, where they went to the playoffs and they lost. They went to the divisional round his rookie year and they lost. And then the next year they won the Super Bowl. Marshawn Lynch, Legion of Boom. But it was that first year Russell talks about it, getting that exposure, right? Finding out how to win. They beat, Robert Griffin III and the Washington football team in the first round. Like, that would have been great for Kyler Murray and Kingsbury to have last year. And I hope that, and it's not like it hasn't been done before. The rookie QBs to the playoffs, so to speak. Kurt Warner in his first postseason experience won the Super Bowl with the St. Louis Rams. But to me, that's my concern, is how is this team going to respond, not only for the postseason, but like these meaningful games in in December and January. Last year, the team went to bed. This year, they're going to be judged on these next 4 games because they are no longer seen as the belle of the ball in the NFL. They've got the similar record as multiple other teams in their conference now. I think really the second season for them starts Sunday in Detroit.
Cardinals update saying, how do the Cardinals drop to 3rd seed if everyone has the same record? Wouldn't they just be a 2 seed if they lost to Green Bay?
Depending on the teams who Tampa play. Well,
yeah,
it
just
Tampa,
depends on
it depends on the teams that Tampa played, and then of course we lost 1-1. We lost at hit with Green Bay, so it just kind of puts us in that position.
Does it go to conference record next?
Yeah.
Well, right now they're the 3 seed and they're tied with Tampa and Green Bay. I don't think the Cardinals are winning out. I think they can. I think Tampa and Green Bay are winning out. So I would say that the Cardinals are going to be at least the 3 seed.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult for them to beat the threesome of Indy, Dallas, and then a Seattle team that could be 8-8 when they face them trying to get in the playoffs.
Well, you cannot get the shirt that I'm wearing, unfortunately, on PHNXlocker.com. I had to make this myself.
What does that shirt look like?
I better get a cut of that if we do distribute that.
If enough of you say that you want the shirt, then maybe we can make that happen.
Shirt right there.
I'm trying to landscape my backyard, so if my face is on people and I'm being shamed like that, I want to see some coin for that ASAP.
But there are plenty of other shirts to choose from on PHNXlocker.com. Right now, we've got a gift box deal going on for the holidays. This might be the last day. We are approaching the end of this deal. If today's not the last day, it would be at some point this weekend. But what you get is 2 shirts of your choosing from PHNXlocker.com. You get an annual membership to PHNX. Obviously, given whoever you're gifting it the best sports coverage in Arizona all year long. And then on top of that, you're going to get a $15 gift card upon purchasing the gift box. So there you go. So we've got that deal on phnxlocker.com. And as always, if you become a member, then you can get a free t-shirt as well. So lots to choose from. We have amazing shirts. Unfortunately, not this one, but maybe at some point. Let us know if we need to make this a thing, and all of you guys can sport it. And Frank gets...
If you get a tattoo of the PHNX logo as well, then you become a lifetime member, is what I heard. And I talked to
lifetime member. So Frank is officially a lifetime member because of that. If you get PHNX tattooed on your body, you will get a lifetime, forever and ever and ever membership to PHNX. And Tim says, thinking of gifting that to myself. I think it's a great gift for yourself. Yes. You get your membership in there. You get a couple of shirts. You get a $15 gift card. Yes, Tim, that's a great gift for somebody else or for yourself. Okay. Let's move on to our third down, which is the Lions have a depleted secondary. I mean, they have so many people missing in their secondary. Like, I can't even begin to name them. They are like signing guys just to be able to have players out on the field. And that's one side of things. On the Cardinal side of things, Rodney Hudson is out with COVID. Cliff confirmed it today that he will not be good to go for Sunday. So they've got their center out. Max Garcia is going to step in. And we already talked about DeAndre Hopkins. One more injury. Well, I guess Robert Alford is listed as
He's out.
He's
officially out.
He's officially out. And then Zach Ertz went on the injury report today, meaning he probably got injured during practice, and he is questionable with a hamstring. So that's everything kind of going on right now with both sides and absences on both sides.
I said last week in my winners and losers was the NFL. Of course, in NBA as well as NHL. Leah talked about that.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse. A lot of teams have made adjustments. The NFL has made adjustments. You've already said this. There are 3 games that have been postponed. This COVID situation has definitely raised its head again in the NFL. So it will be some changes that we all have to kind of pay attention to. The players that we thought that we would have on the field is not there like we thought it would be. The season might have a funny and a funky situation finishing up because it just might not go the way we thought it would go. This is a good time, honestly. If you don't have the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you should definitely download that right now because this might be a good chance to kind of find those little loopholes and wins that if Vegas finds a way to put those algorithms out there that might meet your needs, and that's something that you should pay attention to.
So my DraftKings Sportsbook app pick of the week.
Okay.
I'm picking the Cardinals. I don't know if that is the best move to make because I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of return on my investment.
No.
But I like safe bets. And to me, it means a little less. And I feel like for sure, if you're talking about download the DraftKings
absolutely.
Sportsbook app, I'm just going to put my money on the Cardinals. I'm going to
Well, hang on. Money line, or are you picking them to cover the 12.5 points?
You tell me.
I would say that if you're trying to make a little bit more money, the money line will probably pay out. If you bet, let's say you bet $20, it will probably pay out $25. If you want to make about $5,
so I get $5.
Yeah, if you're into
That's
that,
a win for me.
Sure. Shane's over there rolling his eyes.
That's like almost a meal at Chipotle.
If you
Almost.
bet, typically if you bet the 12.5 points.
Johnny says the spread too much.
What's the terminology? Yeah, I host a gambling show
We're
every day, Elon.
we're betting addicts. We have to.
12.5 points. If you assume that they're going to win by 12.5 points or more, you'll likely double your money. It's a good rule of thumb. Typically, it's right, Shane? Yeah.
So bet them to cover the spread?
Yes.
Okay. I am betting not only that they're going to win, but that they're going to cover the spread.
Yes,
That's my DraftKings Sportsbook app pick of the week. And there you have it. And if you have not downloaded the app already, use the code PHNX. Bet $1 on any team to score in a game. So that could be the Cardinals. You're going to get $100 in free bets. And then from there on out, you can bet on other things and use that money. It's free money to use in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. All right, Frank.
No, I love everything we just talked about. Works well into the show as well as those who are listening to us. So you can see how the balance comes out of it. That everything that we talk about is trying to cover all the bases. You know, when you tell us who's playing, who's not playing, there's someone listening and thinking that this is a good time to either bet, not bet, or what to bet on.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cardinals right now look like our roster is a lot healthier. Again, this is still a good, decent. Let me back up.
No.
Let me back up. I know Johnny's going to kill me on this one, but let me back up.
Once
an NFL team figures out how to win, once they get that one win, that means they figure something out. We don't know how long it will repeat itself and create that win. Jacob just brought up something. He says we're 0-4 out of the last 5, 0-4-1 versus the last 5 meetings against Detroit. That could be either home or away. And I don't know all of that, but I do know the fact that when those numbers hit the table, you still look at it and say something about Detroit. They figure something out versus the Cardinals. This is a good time for you to go back, double check at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, make sure you make a good decision. Johnny don't like what I'm about to talk about, but if you don't have a good understanding of what I'm talking about, you should check out the PHNX bet when you have Johnny. And also,
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Go right ahead.
How many times have the Lions scored over 20 points this season? We've played 13 games. How many times do you think they've scored over 20 points? Chierstin, how about you?
Over 20 points?
Over 20 points.
1.
Twice. In the opener against San Francisco, they scored 33. They had a bunch of fake onside kicks in the fourth quarter. And then 2 weeks ago against the Vikings, their first victory, they scored 29 points. That's it. They've been held to under 20 points every other game. All of them happen to be losses. So I am not optimistic that the Lions are going to hang around. As bad as the Cardinals played Monday night, I saw it firsthand. Go look up the depth chart for the Lions and what's going to be available. Just at the end of the day, talent wins in the NFL. And I know Jared Goff used to pick apart this team when he was in LA, but it's
not the same.
If the Cardinals are trying to be legitimately a serious contender, can't screw around.
Well, that leads to the fourth down. The Cardinals are heavy favorites again in this game. Lions with just one win. I believe they've got a tie in there as well. There is no reason why the Cardinals can't win this game, especially with all of the absences that the Lions are dealing with. Like, again, I legitimately thought, because they're one of the teams that are in the, I think it's like extensive protocols is what it's called. Mm-hmm. And I think they're one of the only teams in those extensive protocols that didn't have a game postponed this week. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with how crappy the Lions are, but you would think that it's like based on just the amount of cases and it was like a COVID thing. But
Yeah.
it either has something to do with the fact that the Lions aren't going to the playoffs regardless of whether they're at full strength or not. And then the other thing is the Cardinals have a Christmas Day game on Saturday, so they're already dealing with a short week. If they were to push that game back, you would have to push the Christmas Day game back, and that wouldn't happen.
No, and you can't think in the sense that, well, we're not going to win anyway, but at the same time, Lions just want to play a bunch of young players. Oh, look who's here.
Hi, Frankie.
Hey, Frankie.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, sweet girl.
Hey, your dad's right here.
Hi. Ignore your dad.
Yeah. There you go.
This is my daughter. She's 2. She's been in the front room.
She's full football already, though. She grabbed
you.
that football.
Snacks.
That's a football.
Here, take this out. Let's hear what you have to say. Oh,
Oh,
no.
my goodness.
Wow, look at that.
We told you guys that
Yeah.
Frankie and Hudson might
helmet.
pull up on us on Friday at the show.
Here they are.
This is Frankie.
Mom's gonna kill me if
She's busy. She's got the bobblehead.
Oliver Ekman Larson, thank you so much. Wow, I love Frankie. She comes with gifts. I have a football, an OEL bobblehead,
right
and a
There's Frankie.
Diamondbacks helmet. Thanks, Frankie.
Yep.
Oh,
it's
just
too
a little,
small.
Just a little too small.
They're
Can
like,
you go sit down while we finish up? Okay.
We are
no
so close
Andy
to being
Isabella
done.
sighting as we stand right now. There is no Andy Isabella sighting, Jacob. I know you guys want to see Andy, but there's not going
Not unless there's another injury.
not
I
unless,
think.
right. Not unless there's another COVID situation.
Hey, Frankie.
They have
can you
the
sit next
players.
to me?
They have all the
Babe, no,
receivers
that's
they
not gonna fit on
want.
anybody's hat.
It's
So
too
if you
small.
are wishing on that, that's not a bet line that Shane would say you should take that you'll see Andy Isabella, unless something happens in the protocol where a couple other guys come up like a Christian Kirk, or you see AJ Green out because of COVID. That's the only way they probably can bring him back on the to the line now. You guys see Frankie?
Frankie knows her stuff.
Yeah, she's got
Let
some
me
good
tell you.
insight.
She
She's
was on the
got,
bet.
like,
She was
she's
on the
got a
bet
lot
show
of
earlier
takes,
briefly.
yeah.
Hey, congratulations, Cardinal update. You say you graduated from the University of U of A today. Cover the Cardinals full time now. That's what's up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Congratulations, Cardinal
Nice.
update.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, man.
How
Congratulations.
exciting. What an exciting team to be able to cover, too.
OB,
Yeah.
look, OB. There's
We're
no way
almost
if I
done.
call Fitz, he gonna hang up on me. So you say, Frank, work on your magic. Call Fitz. I'm not calling Fitz. I want to see Rondell.
Frank, I think they were talking about her.
Frank. Oh. Look, if she
My little
calls,
Frank, yeah.
Oh,
if
this
Frankie
Frank.
calls Frank, if she calls Fitz, he's gonna be like, hell yeah.
Want to get down?
I call Fitz. Look, Fitz is playing golf. He's working on his handicap, and his golf swing is pretty nice. Look, if y'all
Yeah.
never seen Fitz play, Fitz can play some golf.
Well,
And,
what made me sad is I saw
it's pretty
somebody in
amazing.
the chat when Chierstin and I did our show the other day saying that they saw Fitz in person, and this is all due respect to Fitzgerald. Bye, Frankie.
Bye, Frankie.
That he
I
was at
love
his son's
that.
game and he was quote unquote not in football shape.
Yeah.
And so, and you know what? Part of it is like, I feel bad that everybody's probably racing. I know they are, to his social media. Larry, come back. We need you. Save us. And Larry's probably thinking to himself, like, guys, I've been retired for 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm not playing.
Yeah.
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 Look, it's a great idea. If he had been working out and constantly doing what T.O. did, you remember what T.O. did when the Philly got rid of him? He stayed in shape. He was doing sit-ups at his house. He was doing kind of push-ups and making those, all that. Larry has made a decision that says, and it's based upon these one or two options. I'm already a Hall of Famer, so there's no real reason for me to be back unless I'm playing for the Super Bowl. But if I come back, I need to be viable. I need to have a viable reason to be in this offense. And right now, with the talent and the youth we have, we don't necessarily need that. And I agree.
think that's basically isn't that what we said earlier in the
It
week?
is, and I
Yeah.
listened to y'all, and I thought it was
Yeah.
perfect, spot on. I'm just covering if they
Thanks,
didn't listen.
Frank.
Yeah, I thought y'all was spot on. Everything y'all said was spot on. When I swear, I listened to y'all, I thought it was pretty spot on. I was like, hell yeah, they know what they're talking about. I love those guys.
Do we want to wrap things up with our score predictions?
Sure.
So I sat here and thought about it for a second,
Okay.
and I'm like, you know what? I know I gave this same exact prediction last week against the Rams, but I'm going with the same, like literally the same, because I think this is actually going to happen. 42-17 Cardinals.
You think they're going to pull that first 40?
Yeah, I think this is the team to do it against. And I know that they're missing DeAndre Hopkins and they could be missing Zach Ertz. The Zach Ertz is concerning to me if he's not able to go. But they're in trouble with their secondary, and they're just not a good team. And I think the Cardinals feel like they need to make up for what just happened, and they're successful on the road, as we've talked about time and time again. And I think this is the time they do it.
They have no pass rush, that being the Lions. That's typically how you knock Kyler Murray off his game, like we saw with the Rams, because the Rams secondary was depleted on Monday night, but the Rams got after him with Aaron Donald. There's no Aaron Donald, newsflash, in this game on Sunday. Maybe his old running mate Michael Brockers, but that's about it. I'm with you, Chierstin. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think they cover 12.5. It's I feel like I predicted them to score 40 plus last few times, and it's blown up in my face. So I'll stay away from it.
39.
And I'll go something to the effect of, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think it's a possibility. I think the Cardinals play their best defensive game of the year.
39.5.
I'm gonna go with 27-10 Cardinals win. What are you laughing at?
Well, but you said every time you call a 40 burger, it blows up in your face. It's like 39.5.
Frank gets me.
It's hilarious.
That was good.
Look, Elon said 38-17. He's covered his spread, so I know what he's betting. And OB said the same thing, 35-7. I'm going to rock with the 31-10. And I'm going to leave it at that. I think the Cardinals. Look, this is what's beautiful about the Cardinals. They're 10-4.
10-3.
10-3. But they know how to win. They've learned how to win. They know what it feels like to win. And when you win, you got to play 4 quarters of football. Probably out of the 10 wins, 8 of those wins have been 4 quarters of football, and they've done a hell of a job. And I think that right now, I mean, we all are kind of waiting till Sunday because we need to see who's going to be on the roster. But in reality, as long as Kyler there and JC's there and Chase, a couple of offensive linemen we can make some things happen, and there's some defensive guys.
Real quick, after the game against Carolina, the Cardinals defense played terrible. They went and had a really good game against Seattle on the road. I think we'll have that same response.
I agree. That's exactly what I said. I totally agree. So we've got a bunch of Arizona 35 plus, Lions 7, 38 Arizona, Lions 17. I think everybody in here is in agreement that the Cardinals are gonna win handily and make a statement after falling on Monday Night Football. Well, hopefully our producer gets back so that we can actually end the show. Tried texting him. I think he left the phone in here in the room as he's babysitting Johnny's kids.
LTC.
Low Tone Capone, Cardinals 42, M&M's 19. He's from Detroit. Yeah.
8 Mile.
8 Mile. That's what I thought. Okay. Funny one. Frank got you. If you have not downloaded our podcast, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate it if you would do that. And of course, follow us on social media at PHNX_sports. We will see you on Sunday for Cards versus Lions.